Sometimes back in the year 2018, I did a video showing that William Samoei Ruto had very high chances of winning the elections of 2022. Again, in the year 2019, I said that despite Uhuru and Raila having an upper hand, there were circumstances under which Ruto would beat them. Today, I want to show how and why, between now and 2027, Ruto has an upper hand. Why he's effectively going to manage the opposition. Let's begin by looking at the biggest threat to his presidency, which many of us had seen had the potential either to remove him from State House before 2027 or give him generally such a hectic time that he would go to 2027 on stretchers, or at the very least, wobbling. The demonstrations, the mass actions would at the very worst for him either derail him in 2027 or remove him altogether before 2027. At the very least, from an assessment by many people, I included, William Samoei Ruto was going to be forced into making serious concessions, which concessions could lead even to a government that we fear calling nusu mkate. But I've changed. And not just me. Many people are beginning to change the view that Ruto could be having a problem. If you look at the demonstrations, Ruto has managed to knock wind out of the Azimio sail. First, by buying time, he has ensured the mass action will get into nothing. He has lured Azimio into playing into his game. He used, and he will continue to use, delaying tactics. Introduce Kanini into the team knowing it will take 3 weeks, and then you withdraw him. And today, instead of the 30 days as Azimio had been firm about, there is an argument on 60 days with the possibility of an extension. You can see he's already buying time. Again, through this approach, he will successfully make Azimio to appear to be the stubborn partner. In the eyes of the public, if every time there's going to be a disagreement, Azimio walk out and threaten mass action, it will get to a point when the people will be tired. When Ruto will be seen as the magnanimous partner, because he's the player who is continuously giving in. And therefore, he will continue tossing the Kanins and finally being magnanimous by withdrawing and giving in, making concessions. After a time, human nature is such that people will begin to see him as a party that is serious, as opposed to the other party that is sulking and childish all the time. But much more crucially, this off and on from the Azimio. Now we are calling demonstrations, tomorrow we are calling them off. Will soon tire the people of Azimio. The anger that has met the postponement or cancellation of those demonstrations tells it all. When people react so angrily when you postpone something, you do it 3-4 times and you lose the people. So Ruto is succeeding neutralizing Raila by making nonsense of this bipartisan talks and the mass action. Secondly, Ruto is a smart politician. He knows he must either neutralize Raila's base, especially Nyanza, or at the very least, put them in a neutral mode, where they don't hate him. They don't see him as a bad person. Because they have Raila to support, they will not support Ruto. But neither do they see Ruto as a bad person. And with the stroke of a genius, he talks of appointing General Gola to be the first Luo chief of the defense forces. Some of us know a little better than that. But that is the narrative that is now prevalent and dominant, that Ruto cannot be bad and at the same time give a Luo such a sensitive position. And the president has talked about it himself. In the absence of serious counter-narrative on the same, in the absence of anything to persuade the people, especially the Luo, that that is not the case, then Ruto wins the game. The people see him as a not so bad person. So he scores. And every time he scores, Raila and his people lose. And his smooth sail is guaranteed, making us to change the position, the view we used to have, the thinking we had, that this thing is going to manage Ruto. Then comes in KEMSA. And despite the truth that may lie inside, Ruto comes out as the first president in a long time, I think, to move firmly, decisively against corruption. By sending a number of Kenyans home over the KEMSA scandal on the Global Fund, mosquito malaria kind of business. He comes out as a man committed to the fight against corruption, what you know notwithstanding. And you can therefore see the path to 2027 for William Samoei Ruto is beginning to appear to be smooth. He's smoothening it. Because again, like with the appointment of the chief of the defense forces, there hasn't been a counter-narrative. There hasn't been anything from the other side to persuade Kenyans that the changes could be cosmetic. Monkeys and forests. Nothing has come from Raila and his team to persuade the people of Kenya that what Ruto has done by sacking or suspending those Kenyans from KEMSA is anything. That's just musical chairs. Nothing. And therefore, as in court and in law, it stands because nobody has countered it. It stands, therefore, that Ruto is committed, more than perhaps any other president, to the fight of corruption. Tell me now how the Azimio Brigade will manage to challenge Ruto in 2027, least of all derail him between now and 2027. When he's beginning to come out as an individual who is clean kama pamba, committed to the fight against corruption. Let's add something else today. The sugar scandal. The contaminated sugar scandal, where contaminated sugar is locked somewhere pending destruction. And we are told somebody was able to sneak the 20,000 or so bags or whatever of sugar, contaminated sugar, perhaps ending up on the shelves for Kenyans to drink tea laughingly, but imbibing poison into their system. What has the president done? The president, again, as with KEMSA, has moved swiftly, decisively, and 27 individuals have been sent home. What message does this send? This message is simple and is clear, that the president is indeed committed to the fight against corruption. That he has so consciously, deliberately, but firmly and swiftly sent individuals implicated in the sugar scandal. Think of when such a thing was ever done in this country to that scale. When you have your answers, ask yourself whether you want to change your thinking about Ruto now and in 2027. The opposition continues to talk about cost of living. But the manner in which the president explains it away, almost laughingly, leaves him smiling. Because those who listen to the president get more convinced than those who listen to the other side. Why? When the president explains something away, even in a ridiculous way, like saying all this is because of the handshake, that all this is because of Uhuru and Raila, the Raila side is completely incapable. I don't know whether it's incapable, unwilling, or can't see the dangers of leaving this little issue unattended. So what comes out? The president's narrative carries the day. The dominant narrative about the economy today in this country is that Uhuru and Raila messed the economy so badly that Ruto and Gachagua will need time to clean their mess. Now tell me how, with these facts, the opposition can ever manage William Samoei Ruto. And then he comes up with intervention measures. He explains that you do not subsidize consumption. You subsidize production. And he comes up with practical measures that includes subsidized fertilizer, and tells the country we are dropping the prices of fertilizer from 7,000 to 3,500. Surely, the people listening to the president and his government will believe it. The other side is doing little, if anything, to counter that narrative. And therefore, if you look at what is taking place in the country, and this is the basis of my video today, that William Samoei Ruto has managed to outsmart the opposition. And for this reason, unless there are serious changes, unless there's something the opposition knows that we don't know, you can take this to the bank, and a good bank for that matter, that 2027 will be a mere walkout. I mean, what is it? Is it what do you call it? Walkout, whatever it is. That the presidents will go into that election as a mere formality. Because the storm that we had all seen, which storm we thought was going to consume the president, he has made mincemeat of that storm. He has burst the balloon of mass action. He has rendered the bipartisan talks to be useless. He has explained away things nobody thought he could explain away. He has taken actions, KEMSA, contaminated sugar, appointment of Ogola, such actions and explanations on the part of the president continues to endear him to the people of this country. I have no doubt in my mind, if things go the way they are going, the president need not worry about anything. He will move successfully to 2027, and the 2027 will be a walkover, unless the opposition wakes up from its slumber.